Hey, what is going on, everybody, and welcome to the Mad Market Value Show. We are on to week 14, and I think it's fitting that we talk about some of the most traded players with the majority of trade deadlines happening this week as contenders gear up for the playoffs. And if you fell short, well, now you're selling and you're looking on to the next season. So let's get right into it. My first player is Davante Adams. Is he the alpha? Nah, I'm just kidding. It's still Puka, who has 86 receptions and over 1,000 yards. But when the news broke that Davante Adams was going to the Rams, did any of us expect these results from him? All this production. He's got 52 receptions, almost 700 yards, and 14 touchdowns. That's only 4 off of his career high, where he scored 18 in 14 games back in 2020 with the Packers. And right now he's given fantasy managers 6 wide receiver 1 weeks. And it sure seems like he is Stafford's first and only read in the red zone. I drafted him in the 9th round of a startup in hopes of selling him because I didn't really expect this team to compete. I had lots of volatility in my wide receiver room, and it turns out that I kind of struck gold with a few of these players. And now Davante Adams is a key piece for me. And was it ever really a question that Matt Stafford and Sean McVay were going to generate 2 top fantasy assets in Puka and Davante Adams? And I don't really think that there's a better duo in the league right now. I think that you can argue that maybe Lamb and Pickens out in Dallas are a better duo, but I think that you have to put the Rams to over Chase and Higgins, with Higgins banged up right now. The Bengals kind of look like, Joe Flacco was serviceable. They get Joe Burrow back. So we're going to see what happens there. Going back to Adams, I bought him 2 weeks ago in a league where I took over an orphan 4 years ago. And it was finally time to compete. Like, it's, that's been too long. I think 4 years shows that I probably need to grab a gear and quit being a bit of a chicken shit and try and get picks and build an all Twitter team where, I was just kind of like the reigning president of the donation committee. I lost Malik Neighbors. I lost Cam Scadaboo. I lost Laporta. So I needed some reinforcements. So I went and traded for Dak Prescott and Davante Adams, and I shipped away CJ Stroud and a 26-1 that I know is going to be probably the 110 to the 112. I'm currently in first, second in points for. It is a 4-point passing touchdown league, but I just think that Dak, the way the Cowboys are rolling right now, that I have to have Dak in front of Stroud, and I'm going to pay a late first for Davante Adams. So more trade examples that I have for Davante Adams is Jordan Addison in a 26-2. Like, the Vikings situation makes it so much easier to trade away Jordan Addison. I think he's already in a bucket of players that, he might have more name cachet, but you can go and get similar players that put up the same production and they're going to be cheaper. And right now, whether it's going to be Brosmer or it's going to be JJ McCarthy, we don't know what's going to happen with the Vikings. Like, we see Justin Jefferson struggling right now. Kevin O'Connell doesn't seem to have any answers. So I'm going to go and get a proven producer like Davante Adams that's going to push me over the edge. Another package, a 26-1 and a 27-2. I'm assuming that they're both late. So this is almost like as risk-free as I can get for me going into week 14. You know what your team is. So if you're going to go and acquire Davante Adams that you can slop into your lineup, whether it's a start 2 wide receiver, start 3, or he's just simply a flex. If he's in your flex, you have one hell of a team and you're probably raking in some cash this year. A 28 first. This depends on your risk tolerance for me. Is the league even going to be around by then? How is your team? I think it's kind of hard to predict with injuries. You might have players that had outlier seasons and are due for regression. But if it's something where you have, multiple top 10 players at each position, maybe it's a start 10 and you have 2 stud quarterbacks, or it's a 0.75 or higher tight end premium, and you have Brock Bowers and maybe you had Trey McBride from a few years ago, yeah, I'm probably comfortable moving off that 28 first. One trade here that I think is a little bit too rich for me, and that is Brian Thomas Jr. in a 28 second for Davante Adams. This kind of feels like it is, Brian Thomas Jr., maybe I'd love to hear it from people in the comments, or you can DM me on Twitter. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is still closer to that 2 first value, regardless of the season. Like, I'm chalking this up to a T-Law issue and Shane Waldron. BTJ has been banged up this year. He's been going through some personal stuff that we don't know what it's really going to affect. He hasn't ever really been an alpha, and now he's trying to do that for the Jaguars. So I think that there's a little figuring himself out in the team dynamic there. I just think that that's a little bit too rich for me. That's a process trade, that a road I'm just not going to go down. On to my second player. It's the king. It's Derrick Henry, 31 years old, almost 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. Yeah, we've seen his missed tackles force drop. But if I'm going for a championship, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Eventually, Derrick Henry is going to lose that battle against Father Time. But that's kind of a juicy schedule for him coming up. They are leading their division right now, but they're neck and neck with the Steelers. We don't really know what's going to happen. Lamar also doesn't seem like he's 100% to me. It started with a hamstring injury and then an ankle injury and a toe. I just think that they're really going to rely on Henry. We see this every single season, that the king comes out and makes us playoff contenders. So a couple trades here. A late 26-1 slam dunk. This one's even better. A 26-2 to 26-3. Like, this is somebody that's just panicking and saying, I'm not dealing with it in the offseason. I got to offload this guy right now. Maybe they're still in a race for the 101. I don't really know. Another trade that, just like the Adams, I think this is one that it's a process that somebody just got wrong. You know, it's Travis Hunter, it's Jameis Winston, and Isaiah Likely for Derrick Henry and Juwan Johnson. Those are two pieces that are going to help you. But in the long run, I think Travis Hunter is the play here. It hurts me. I'm overexposed to Travis Hunter. I drafted him high. Yeah, it was probably stupid, but I'm not selling at this big of a loss for somebody like Derrick Henry, who only has a few years left. Like, the Jaguars went and took Travis Hunter second overall for a reason. I don't think he's going to end up being a two-way player. We've seen him get banged up. Now he's out with a knee injury. Like, I think that they're going to use him more on the offensive side of the ball. So this is one that I'm just going to hold on to, keep Travis Hunter, and hope that he performs moving forward. Talking about these two big producers, I think we need to go and listen to the Podfather talk about some of the funnest DFS tournaments that we have going on.
I know you're sad draft season is over, but just because the NFL season starts doesn't mean the drafting stops, because Fast Draft has the Flex 6 Frenzy. You're drafting 6 guys for the Sunday slate. It's fast, it's furious, it's fun, and as with everything on Fast Draft, there are no salaries. Woo! So go to draftfaster.com, get the app, use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
Yeah, guys, these frenzies are an absolute blast. I'm in them. I'm trying to max them out as much as I can all the time. They're quick. Eight teams, 6 rounds. You can bang them out really fast, whether you're having a coffee break, you're sitting on the can, you know, your kids have screen time, whatever is going on. Jump into the frenzy, max these out, back on to veteran players. And my next one is Philadelphia Eagles running back Saquon Barkley, averaging 14 points per game. Something isn't going right with the Eagles. I don't know if it was that he was overworked last year and he's a little bit gassed. I don't know if this is an OC issue. That seems like Philadelphia fans and fantasy managers are kind of pissed off at Petula. Sirianni came out and said after a few meetings, they're going to keep Petula as the OC. Or is it just the O-line is banged up and isn't generational that we saw last year and from years past? That was kind of their identity. Do opposing teams just kind of know that they have to stop Saquon Barkley and try to make Jalen Hurts throw? Is that a thing? That's kind of a narrative that I was on. I dug into it a bit. Hurts is actually a better passer this year than he was last year. So that might not be something to really be concerned about. But there is the AJ Brown drama where, you know, my guy Hype and I talked about it on the last call. AJ Brown now had a massive game, and I don't think we see cryptic text. We don't see him reading books on the sidelines. Is he just becoming a cancer in that Philly locker room and it's bleeding onto the field? I don't really know. A few trades for Saquon Barkley. Woody Marks, a 26th first and a 26th third. Steep price for me, but if you're convicted on Barkley, I understand it. I think you can go and pay something like that for a running back that's a little bit worse. He does have a nice schedule for the fantasy playoffs that includes the Raiders, Commanders, and the Bills. The insulation alone if you are selling Barkley, is a great return. You can go and flip Woody Marks again if you'd like to cascade that trade into something different. If you don't want to go and pay something like this, I think it's fine if you get down to, a Chase Brown, a Breece Hall, a Jalen Warren. You can go and acquire those guys and get similar production. One more trade for Saquon Barkley is Brian Thomas Jr. straight up. Not going to go as deep as I did into this earlier with the Devontae Adams trades. I just think this is the wrong process move. Running backs have a shorter shelf life. I think Brian Thomas Jr. and the Jaguars figure this out. Just a touch again on Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. Like, I'm fine paying the 110 to the 112 because I know that my team is legit and it got there not off a fluke. If I'm a team that hasn't clinched yet and I need one more win, or I'm waiting to see if I get rewarded for having the 6 max points for to be able to clinch, I probably need more than one of these veteran running backs to make a push. And we all know that if you don't get a bye week, your chances of being in the money in your fantasy playoffs are a lot lower than if you were in those bye situations. So again, if you don't want to pay these prices, go and find the cheaper running backs like Chase Brown, Breece Hall, Jalen Warren, those types of players that maybe you can spend multiple seconds, you can spend a second, and a wide receiver that, somebody might like a Josh Downs. He still has name cachet, but he's not really doing anything for us. On to my last player. This is going to be Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett signed a 2-year deal. Who's going to say that he's not the starter next year? That's just a theory that I've thought of. I've heard a little bit on X and some other podcasts where I think it's very interesting, because if the Cardinals do end up winning a few more games, I think that they're going to push themselves out of a position to draft a quarterback, and Kyler Murray's contract is his own mountain to climb. We've seen Jacoby Brissett. He can run the offense that Petzing and Gannon want. He's unlocked Trey McBride. We're getting that positive regression in the touchdowns. Michael Wilson has a role while Marv is out, but Marv is also dealing with I believe it's a heel or an ankle injury right now. That's something that I'll have to look at on the news desk later, but that is something to monitor moving forward. Jacoby Brissett went and set an NFL record for completions a couple weeks ago, thanks to a run game that is atrocious and game script. They are always trailing, so he's got to sling the ball. Jacoby has also won a couple weeks ago that I sold low. Even if these trades that I'm going to read off to you guys don't really back that up, I think I could have leveraged more of a return from my competitor who was QB needy, but I got the blinders on and I was too worried about shedding points and didn't really survey the market. I said the other week not to be greedy and overextend to where you wreck a deal, but I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass that I only got a late third for him. I think that I could have added something and got a second for Brissett. I could have tried to get, a backup quarterback with a third. I could have got some other combination to maximize my return there, but that's just something that I'm going to keep in the back of my mind for, my leagues that I have trade deadlines. There are a few DGens leagues that don't have trade deadlines. So I'm going to be looking at that, always trying to maximize my return without wrecking a deal. A couple trades here, Jacoby and a fourth for a second. Like I was just saying, that is one. If you need to get rid of Brissett on a rebuilding team, add to get a second. That's great. Don't settle. Getting him on a contending team, he's putting up points. I had it in my notes, but I seemingly lost it. I don't know what he's scoring as a quarterback, but he has been one of the most productive in the past few weeks. Jacoby Brissett for Isaac Tesla and Jacob Cowing. Like, that's easy. That's almost free. That's like just disrespected Jacoby Brissett at this time. Another trade that I really, really like for a contender and a rebuilder. It's Jacoby Brissett for Justin Fields in a third. Like, I'm done on Fields. I don't think that he is a good NFL quarterback. I don't think he's going to be with the Jets next year. He is going to find somewhere to be, though. So from a rebuilder standpoint, you're basically just backfilling your quarterback roster construction. You're getting a third, you're getting Justin Fields. When he gets hype of signing with a new team, or we know that he puts up points, somebody is going to say, give me one more shot on Justin Fields. I want in. You can go and flip that and cascade this trade into something more than Jacoby Brissett. As a contender, Again, you're getting a productive quarterback who can help you hopefully get that push and win some money in your leagues. Awesome, everybody. Thanks for listening. Good luck in your matchups. Hopefully you're geared up for playoffs. If you are a manager that just missed out and you're rebuilding, go and sell those points, go and sell those assets that are kind of flatline, that aren't ever going to ascend in value anymore. Get them off your roster. You don't want to wait until the offseason where they're just going to decline more. They're going to be drafted over, free agents come in. So do your work. Go knocking on doors, really study your roster construction, and try to build a process. Again, if you have questions on this, I absolutely love talking about Dynasty theory. So please, you can hit me up in the Dynasty DGens Discord. You can hit me up on Twitter. That would be great. I would love to talk ball to everybody about this. Thanks for listening. If you like the video, leave a like. I'd appreciate comments. Thank you very much.